Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're having a good afternoon. It's Monday, the day after the pandemonium and the beginning of more pandemonium. uh, as I've been going on here about part one, part two, about the corporocracy, this is going to be part three. And, I know a lot of y'all don't really care or don't follow along with what I'm saying and everything, but that's okay. But I think people should be aware. All this whole thing started, guys, a long, long time ago. Again, I referenced about Jesus chasing the money changers out of the temple. They was the beginning of the banker system. Now, we're going to jump forward quite a few years, all the way up to around 1400, 1500, when the Rothschilds started spreading across the world, across Europe, and into other places, as y'all already know. You can look up the history. I'm not going to embellish too much on it. But they went out in late 1400s, early 1500s, and spread their influence all the way through the world. Influenced governments and corporation companies and everything like that, financing and taking strong odds, so they became really powerful. And as you know, they became so powerful they was influencing nations, countries, leaders, dictating policy, economic and global policies. They bought their way into it, guys. They forced their way into it and everything like that. And then they also did it here in the United States, and I'm going to explain it. Okay. Along about late 1700s, first of 1800s, they started sending emissaries from the Rothschild banking empire to the United States and started setting up a new banking empire here in the United States. And we've been seeing the result of that ever since for the last 250 years. Okay, there's no doubt about it. That's exactly what's going on. You can agree. But the thing is, starting around mid 1500s to late 1500s, there started a pattern developing, and it's mostly because of the way things were done. And it's every so many years, every 100 years, 120 years, there was an economic cycle, a financial crisis, a banking crisis, or a monetary crisis somewhere in the world. And there's basically a big reset in one country or another's, or several countries, or global economies. We've seen this repeatedly, all under the tutorage of the Rothschild family. It's the way they operate. It has always been. If you go back from the time the Rothschilds started coming in and started building their empire, all the way up to the 1600s, they had a failure that started in somewhere around, was they started coming in 1500s. Then around 1600, there was a big financial crisis. Long after that, around the 1700s, around 1750 to 1790, there was a big banking financial crisis all across Europe. So, what time did we sign the Declaration of Independence in the United States? 1796. Kind of seemed tied together right here, right now.
1776.
1776. Excuse me. All right, I'm sorry. Thank you, Anna. She keeps me straight. Okay, okay, 1776. So that's right there around the cycle of the financial crisis going on in Europe, the banking crisis. You can look all this up and everything like that. And again, this is all being done by the banks or the central banking system of the Rothschild family. So we go into the 1796 and early 1800s, and there started a banking corporation in the United States. It started by this guy I talked about the other day, Colbert, or something like that. I can't remember exactly his name. And he was partially funded by the Rothschilds. Again, J.P. Morgan's grandfather or great father, one or the other, came over from the Rothschild banking empire and started setting up offices in the United States. And ever since then, every 100 years or so, late 1700s, early 1800s to the 1900s, around 1923 or whenever the Depression started, 1929, 120 years. We are now at 100 years later, 2024, 2025. Do you think we're about ready to have another financial crisis? Well, yes, we are. You already see it. We already heard about it. We've been hearing about it since 2008. But another pointed thing I want to talk about right here again is what the Rothschilds did. As we already said, they financed both sides of wars. Government, they peddled influence throughout these government organizations, not only with leaders, but influential people in the government or had influence over the government. They've been peddling this influence for over 250 years, for 400 years, in fact. Well, ever since the early 2000s, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and all those others has been doing this stuff for the last several hundred years, have been starting to lose influence over the thing. In fact, only one main member is still staying active in the Rothschild family, and he's rather reclusive and hard to find. In fact, if you do a Google search, you will not find any information about him. That's how reclusive he is. But his name is Mayer. What was it again? David Mayer Rothschild, or Daniel Mayer Rothschild, de Rothschild. You cannot find any information on him, but he's still there. And again, I mentioned the other day, one of the oldest left remaining direct line members of the Rothschild family mysteriously died in a fire in Hollywood Hills. I did a Google search, and guys, it's only about a 4-mile stretch between it and Diddy's house, direct line. And you already heard how all these places are connected underground, blah, blah, blah. Why would this guy suddenly, all of a sudden, after all this stuff is coming out about Diddy, his house burned down? One of the richest people in the world, family line, their house had no fire alarms? Anyway, back to what's going on. Every so many years, the Rothschild financial bank system had a crisis. They reset. In fact, of course, they played both sides of the market, both sides of governments, both sides of military actions and everything like finance, the military industrial complex, etc., etc. Guys, they've been making money hand over fist on everything they can. If they can make a penny, they make a penny. All right. Well, they started losing influence and power over the last several years. In fact, we've seen recently that a new person, or new corporations, or a new industrial complex, I guess you call it, has taken over, and that is, of course, BlackRock, Vanguard, and so others. It's like this. And they wield power, influence, and everything, just like the Rothschilds do. In fact, I can mention you several corporations that they have power over. One of them's Amazon, eBay, PayPal, the ABC Corporation, which includes YouTube, Google, etc., etc., Facebook and Meta, and everything else you can guys think of. Oracle Internet Search. Yeah, guys, they're everywhere. They peddle this influence just like crazy. But here's one of the things that a few of you might find shocking, Eric, is that BlackRock, under Larry Fink's tutorage, has not only financed several corporations, managed money for several corporations throughout the world, but they also finance wars. Yes, that is true. They do finance both sides of wars, just like the Rothschilds. They also finance political parties, political opponents, and political candidates. And guess what? And guess who they have been financing or backing for the last damn near 20 years, or at least since 2008. Well, they financed both Barack Obama and I can't remember who ran against him. They financed them. They financed both sides of the Trump and Clinton campaign. They financed Trump and Biden campaign, and they financed Trump and Harris campaign. They're playing both sides of the cards, guys. So, oh yeah, one other thing, that guess who else they peddle influence over quite a bit? Now it's on the world stage. Well, it's Elon Musk, Tesla, and SpaceX. And who is Donald Trump super buddy with right now? Elon Musk, Tesla, SpaceX. Yeah. And who owns, who runs, who handles, who manages, who controls Elon Musk, Tesla, and SpaceX? Larry Fink. Hope y'all have a groovy day, guys. This is part 3. Later, taters.